Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This video is about GIAC GSLC. Um, I got a lot of comments and actually hundreds, if not thousands of people sent me direct email because of previous videos about CCD, CSOM, uh, GCIH, CEH, like all of the reviews that I did for other certifications, and I really appreciate it. Some people asking for questions, and I'm actually very happy that I'm helping a lot of people, especially that there is some certification like GSLC uh, doesn't have like anything on the web. You can't really find any review or anything about it. Maybe a couple of Reddit posts, but nothing really clear. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you uh, it's very similar to the GCIH. It's a detailed video about the good things, the bad things, about GSLC, and some couple of tips about the course itself and the exam. I will show you the index that I have, and I will tell you at the end who's this course for, because it's not for everyone. This course is not for everyone. So who's this course for? A couple of other tips. That's what we're going to do today. Now, I took this test 6 months ago. Not test. I took the training 6 months ago because I did the test literally a few weeks ago, and I was waiting for the certification to come. Wait, let me show you. Maybe we'll take this as a thumbnail, all right? And that's the coin that I'm going to talk about it today. Okay, wait. Okay, I think this is going to be the thumbnail. Anyway, so you might notice that I got the coin because yes, I'm very proud of this because I was competing versus CIOs, CTOs, CISOs, managers from massive companies like Google, Apple, the government, and so on. And I'm basically not in that level yet, but I won the challenge against of everyone because at the end of the day, it's not about your experience only. It's about how you think, how you're being a manager or being a leader is about your personality. You know how you see a person sometimes, you look at this person, you like, man, like he's definitely a leader or she's definitely a leader, right? And other person, he might be a manager or she might be a manager, and you would be like, I don't know if he's really a manager. And that's the thing, is like leadership is really about you, your personality more than only experience. You can be a very experienced personnel, but you might not be a good leader. And that's the course where it's going to show you and give you some tips about being a good leader. The challenge is literally about your previous experience. Of course, you're going to learn some things during the course and you will apply it during the, I think it's called Cyber 42. That's how the lab they call it. It's actually very good. I liked it. Um, Even though that sometimes some things doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense because, you know, you're learning here. So after you finish the course and read the books again, things will start getting sense, making sense. So I'm very proud of this coin, maybe more than the certification itself. But anyway, let's jump straight into the points that I wanted to discuss. Uh, you might notice that I'm going to look at my screen a bit more than the camera. I can see you here because like other reviews that I did, I have some bullet points. I don't want to miss any bullet points because all of those bullet points, what I do normally when I review a certification, while doing the certification, I know that I'm going to review it later on. So I start to take bullet points every time I notice something. So I don't miss anything later on. In another meeting, in another meeting, after I finish my certification, I don't sit for 1 hour and start writing everything. I don't do this actually. What I do is during the certification, every time I notice something, I put it. So what you're going to hear now is a life experience when I notice something. not something I remembered. And the reason why I do this in my reviews for certification, to be fair with all of them and to be accurate, because accuracy for me in reviews is very important, just because I like to be fair. Let's start with good things that I noticed. First of all, the training, I took it with Sean Chakravarti. I hope I'm spelling his last name right, but Sean was very good. I would definitely take another um, course with him, and I think now he's actually teaching GSLC all the time. Like I saw a post for him. I can't remember about what, but yeah, I think he got promoted in sense to teach maybe more courses. I really don't know. Sorry, Sean, if you're hearing this review now, but Sean was very good. He has a lot of experience and he gives a lot of real life experience, and that's what I like in certifications, because a lot of certification you feel they are so static. It's like they are showing you presentation and reading the presentation. I don't want, like, you don't need to go to a training where they show you a presentation and someone read it for you. You know, you can read it by yourself. You need someone to give you real examples and stuff like that. And Sean is the guy for this. What I liked, something else about him, is that he speaks very clear and he only uses easy words. This is a major point because I attended other trainings. Um, I don't want to say with which organization, but you know, if you look at my LinkedIn, I have bunch of trainings. I now lost count of the certifications, and um, a lot of the trainee, you can't really understand like what they are like. You might need to like think about what they are trying to say. It's either they are giving some metaphors which you don't understand. For example, I'm in Australia, right? And I come from a country where maybe in US they use some what they call them slangs or whatever, right? Some metaphors that we don't use in Australia. Okay, so I might not understand them. And I noticed that a lot of trainee, even they have a very strong accent, like US accent from the country or something like that, that sometimes I can't really understand. It's not like to say that I'm fluent in English, right? It's not even my second or my third language. It's my first language. But what I'm trying to say, like you have some trainee that you can really understand them very easy. Sean is one of them. You won't worry about this. He's very clear, straight to the point, use only easy words. He give very good example, live example. I really want to stop on this point. Very long. I took time to explain it because it's very important when you go and pick a course with Sense. When you go to Sense website, you have option to check. You say like, say in September you have this person giving this training. In October this person. You do it online or whatever. So you have many options. And I chose Sean before I knew him, just by chance. You know, I had the chance to do with another person, but I chose Sean, and Sean was very good. That's one thing positive. Another point positive, a lot of there is a lot of things to learn, even if you have a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience. I come from so I was an infrastructure manager in a global company, and when I switched to cybersecurity, I started from junior because I wanted to, you know, understand every piece and every bit and pieces. So I started as junior, and now I grew up into the leadership position, and I have a team reporting to me, and I can tell you that GSLC, it showed me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. Not only me, it showed me what the management in the company and the leader in the company that I'm working at, what they are doing wrong and right. And actually, you can see them. Like, you will start to notice them that you know what? I think in GSLC they showed me something. If we didn't do this in the company, maybe we could have saved money, for example, or things like that. It's very important to the Cyber 42 was very important. The course itself in general, just to understand what Sean was saying, that, you know, let's call him tutor for now. So the tutor, not, I don't like it. Let's say the person who was teaching, the teacher of, right, this course, Sean, what he was explaining, it's very important to understand what he was saying, his real life experience, to ask questions. It's very important because it will change your understanding about the leadership and the management. And that's one good point, is that there is a lot to learn even if you are a CTO, which there were a lot of CTOs in the course anyway. So there's a lot of to learn, and that's another good point. The third point is GSLC is a very respectable uh, certification and training in the industry, unlike other certifications that unfortunately they started to lose a bit of their value. Like nowadays, I think I was in B-Sides, one of the cybersecurity conferences, and I was talking with some ex-colleague and some new people that normally we meet, we network during the conferences, and we were talking about. I was telling them, I think I might be doing the CISM soon, CISSM, right? The CISM, and one of them jumped and said, like, look, man, it's not worth it. Don't do it. There is nothing. There is no practical. The training itself is so static. You might not benefit. You might benefit for a little bit, but not like the GSLC. And that's where I went to check the GSLC because in my mind I wanted to do CISM, and I hear a lot of people doing the CISP as well, right? If you compare what you learn in CISP with with anything from GIAC or even new certifications now like CCD, Security Blue Team. By the way, I'm going to do another review about the CCD because I think I was unfair before because now they change a lot from the structure and stuff. Anyway, now we're talking about GSLC. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is GSLC still retains the value in the industry. When you say I have GSLC from GIAC, it's very important. Unfortunately, for example, system now I gave a, an example about it started to lose from its value. Maybe because they are not updating it or because it's so static. A lot of people started to get it. I don't know. That's one thing. Fourth point I want to talk about is the Cyber 42, the lab that I was talking about. I learned a lot from it, and I highly recommend to, when you're doing this lab during the class, think about it as it's your company, okay? It's like your job depends on it. Think about it like that because that's what I actually did during the lab, and that's how we got uh, like you know everything right. Like, I would say most of the question right. We got actually more than 100 point. I think 109 or something like that, which it was excellent. Like it was in the excellent mark, and we were the only team to get this. It was me and another person. He's a software engineer. So imagine software engineer, and I'm in security, not just started to land into the leadership um, title, and we won the Cyber 42 amongst other CTOs, CIOs, and so on, because you have to take it seriously because you're going to learn a lot from it. I highly recommend you to do this. So those are four good things. Now, as you might notice, I normally give more bad things than good things just because if the whoever instructor or whatever is watching the video, they can improve from it. They can see what I liked, what I didn't like, and they can give their opinion. Exactly what happened with CCD. They heard my, not only me, but our, right, screaming and what we were talking about. There's a lot of things needs to be changed. CCD reached out to me, from the founder to the support, all of them. They worked with me closely. We changed a lot of things, and now CCD is amazing platform. Again, I don't want to talk much about CCD because next video is going to be about it. Um, but that's one thing. I like to talk more bad than good. Doesn't mean that certification is not good. As I said, it's amazing certification. I learned a lot. But let's jump on the bad points. First of all, something you have to know. GSLC is not GSOM or CSOM, right? Since I done CSOM with Security Blue Team, it's not like that. CSOM will help you. Now, if you tell me, now if you come to me and say, hey, should I do GSOM then GSLC? I will tell you, nope. You do CSOM from Security Blue Team. You save your money, put your money in your pocket, okay? And then you will do GSLC because GSLC complete CSOM. So, in another meaning, I found some things to be missing from doing the CSOM. And I noticed also that GSLC there is no practice. For example, in GCLC they talk about the OLE and the ANE and things like that, right? The annual expectancy, things like that, loss expectancy on tools and so on. But they don't show you how to work with them. They don't do practice. Like, okay, I know it's annual loss expectancy, the LA and whatever, how to use it, how to do the calculation. They don't show you. While in CSOM, Security Blue Team, it was a certification where there were a lot of practice. So they showed us how to do calculation, equation, and so on. But something also I noticed that the ROSI equation was not even mentioned in GSLC. I don't know if it was a mistake from the person who put GSLC or whatever, but ROSI is return on security investment. So they mentioned the ALE, annual loss expectancy, and other things, which you must take them and use them into the ROSI equation. But they didn't use show us the ROSI equation. Then what's the point? You know, that's one thing. Um, but then I noticed that GSLC is not meant to be CSOM or GSOM. GSLC is GSLC and CSOM is CSOM. So what I recommend, do the CSOM and then jump on GSLC, or the other way around. Just do GSLC and jump on CSOM, just because they are not the same. I thought they are the same. I was lucky to do CSOM and jump on the GSLC because I started to map things like, oh, I learned this from the CSOM, but it's not in GSLC. I start to map them, and this helped me a lot. So that's one thing. In GSLC, I found some leadership things that they are missing. But again, because it's not about, it's giving you general idea about everything. Um, that's the thing that I want to say. There is something missing. Or for example, another example, MITRE Defend, for example, shown the trainee or no, the teacher explained not explained, but he showed us MITRE Defend, MITRE Engage, and he mentioned them briefly, but he didn't show us how we use them, you know. While CSOM, we did actually practice to map some attacks from engage to defend and so on. It would have been nice if, during the training, they opened like live in front of us, MITRE engage or MITRE defend, and they started to show us, hey, this is how you do this, that's that. Just at least to give just the impression that there is a little bit of practicality, not technicality, practicality. Because what everything was just talking in the air. There were no really hands-on. And for myself, I prefer hands-on stuff. The second point is in every book there is sections. Okay, books are divided into sections, and after so at the end of the book there is quiz, and this quiz is about all the section. What I noticed, and I hope this will be changed or improved, that those quizzes are not enough. Okay, they should. So every book has one quiz of 15, I think, is it 15 or 20 questions? Those questions are not enough to keep your brain like, remembering all the information of you have five books, massive books. You have to read them with a lot of information, do your own research. So I prefer if every one, you know what, one is too much. Maybe every 2 or 3 modules, there are books are divided into, say, modules, section, whatever you want to call them. So every 2 or 3 section, there should be a small quiz, like 5, 10 questions, and maybe at the end do a massive quiz about all the entire book. is just because, as I said, it's not enough. It feels it's really not enough. Now, those quizzes, they don't give, um, uh, yeah. So those quiz, I'm reading the bullet point. Those quiz, they don't, when they give you the answer, um, not the answer, when they give you the explanation. So you have a question, you answer it. If you answer it right or wrong, anyway, it will give you an explanation why you answered it right, why you answered it wrong. This explanation, it doesn't tell you which selection, which option was the right option. It just gives you the explanation. Okay? Um, I don't know how to explain it without showing you an example, and I can't show you really an example of the quiz, unfortunately. That's against the policy, but I guess you understood what I'm trying to say. It's like you ask a question, you have option A, B, C, and D. If you answered A and it's incorrect because the option C is the right option, they don't tell you the option C is the right. They just tell you the explanation that um, it's the the question is this, and that's its explanation. Okay? Now, from the explanation, you should know which option is right. But sometimes the options are very close, like they are very similar. It's literally like you need to understand its English to understand which one, more than to understand the security of it. You know, it's a bit English tricky than security tricky in that way. So that's thing it should be improved. If they can put which option was right after each question, it will be great. In the quizzes, in the practice exam, if you're doing the exam, you have practice exam before it. In the practice exam, they will tell you which option is right. Okay, now in the practice exam, by the way, the quizzes, they are not even close to the practice exam or to the exam questions. They are totally different and indifferent in the way of asking, because the practice exam and the real exam, they are a bit tricky, and I will talk about this now. Now, in the practice exam um, and in the real exam, okay, they are like a pool that uh, they choose some questions for you. So maybe my practice exam is going to be your real exam. I think so. Don't take me on this, but anyway, um, I noticed that there is some questions that are opinion based, which means the writer of this question has his own opinion, but there's only one selection right. And the opinion of the writer is not really the right opinion, in my opinion, or in your opinion. Okay? Now, um, again, I really want to show show you one of the example, but unfortunately I can't. But here I took a screenshot and uh, to cover. Okay, I can't. I really wanted to share my screen, but I can't. I don't want to go through the copyright and stuff like that. Anyway, the idea, you got my idea, is like because it's a leadership certification, some questions they are about opinion, which best for you, which was for the company, and the opinion of the writer of this question. In my opinion, it wasn't the perfect solution, at least in the company that I worked at. So I chose the one that, in my opinion, it's workable in my situation, that I think is right for where I work, because that's my experience. But maybe when he worked or she worked, the writer, it was different experience. And I feel like those questions should be changed. I only encountered one or two questions and I took screenshot of them. But anyway, you got my idea. Um, then the next and last bad point that I didn't like is I found some questions in the practice exam and the official test, both of them, to be English tricky, not security tricky, English tricky. And I noticed something as well. So there were a question. Here I'm going not to say the question, I'm going to say the words that they played with. So the question was about um, how like how do you deploy, or how do you deploy a network device? Um, yeah, how do you deploy a network device? And I think the options there were something like with an agent, with a probe physical device, with a blah 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 XYZ. Okay, and then what I chose, I think I chose a physical probe or physical device, something like that. It turned to be with a sensor. So the right answer was sensor instead of physical. Um, no, it was physical probe or software, right? Software agent or something like that. And I chose the physical one because they said device network. Okay? With device network, in my opinion, it's physical. If you want me to choose software, you should say sensor. Now, you might ask me why. Because maybe it's not like English tricky, but that's my opinion. It was English tricky because my experience with Darktrace, which is one of the very popular NDR, okay, they have their device network is a physical probe. That's how we call it. And if you want to install an agent instead of physical probe for some, for some situation, they call it OS sensor. It's a sensor. You have OS sensor. If you can install, and span the the traffic physically through a probe, physical probe. So see, it's like English tricky. And I think whoever wrote the question, he was even confused because when you say sensor, it's a software. When you say device network, it's a physical probe. So here was the confusion for me. I don't want to stop a lot on this because there were a couple of questions here and there, nothing too big. And in my opinion, if you don't pass your GSLC certification because of this question, it means those are like 3, 4 questions in total, all of them together. It means you don't really deserve to pass it. You know what I mean? I mean, 3 questions shouldn't be a big deal. Now, let's go to some tips, right? Let's go to some tips. Let's start with the training. The training, first of all, in my opinion, is better to go in person. I done it online. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it in person, but um, I feel like if I was in person, I would have benefited a lot more because I would have asked a lot of questions more. I was on Zoom or Slack, whatever we use, and I felt like every time I want to ask a question, it's like a lot of effort for me to either raise your hand or open the mic and talk and like interrupt um, the teacher and things like that. So I feel if you go in person is a lot better. Second point is interact with the lecturer as much as you can because you will benefit a lot of it. I don't I don't know if they got annoyed of me in the class or not, but I was literally interrupting every time I feel like I really want to, even though I said that sometimes I didn't because I wasn't bothered or for any other reason. But I really, every time I have a question, I used to give my ask my question or give my opinion about a topic, or I was always interacting. So I don't feel that I'm left behind because I'm not interacting. And that's normally what it feels like when you're online. Online, working from home, in a meeting, you're not interacting, you feel like you're left behind. If you're studying, right, at uni and you're doing online, you will not interact with the doctor and you will sleep later, right? After a few minutes, you will be, you know what, I'm not bothered anymore. So it's very important to interact because every time you interact, Sean, you know what? Not only Sean, but I hope other lecturers as well, they give you more example. If you have a question, it means you didn't really understand. They give you more example and you will understand more. And it was very important, especially for a leadership. If I'm talking about GCIH, okay, it was hacking practical. There is either black or white. You hack it this way or you can't hack it. it's different than a leadership because leadership certification is an opinion based and it's an experience based. You have to be a leader in a way that you have to know what you're doing. And to know what you're doing without experience, it's hard. To know what you're doing without experience or someone with experience giving you his experience is hard. So you need at least you have an experience, you fail many times to learn from it, or someone already failed before and did wrong decisions to give you his opinion about this mistake and his experience so you can learn from them. And that's where Sean came into the place with a lot of experience. And um, every time I interacted, he was very helpful. And, other lecturer, I'm pretty sure they are the same thing. Now, the third point I want to talk about, so the second point was interact as much as you can. The first point was go in person, if you can, of course. The third point is during the course, open your PDF or your books and follow every time, you switch or swap, you go to a new page or new topic. So just follow with the lecturer and take some notes. Those notes, they are very important. Sometimes the lecturer will be, this section is very important. It must come in an exam. Sometimes he might be saying this. You take straight away, put a mark, because trust me, they know what's going to come and not. The exam is important and your knowledge is important as well. So if they told you this is very important, it means most probably you're going to use it during your day-to-day leadership role. So it's important to revise it after and understand it, right? Now, um, fourth point is get the on-demand. I got it. I think it's a bundle. You will get and on demand with something else, maybe, I don't know. But I would say get on demand is very important. The difference is with on demand, so you have live course, which is you go in person or online, and you have on demand. On demand is basically some video, the course, but videos, and you can watch whenever you want, you know? And it's another person's explanation. So you got different people's opinion and explanation about different things. And for the on demand, if you buy on demand by itself, it will cost you the same as the course. So don't get it by itself. Go to the live course, but got on top of it the on demand, and it will cost you, I think, only $900 or something like. I can't remember, but it will not cost you another 10,000, right? I don't know how much the SANS courses are nowadays, but like 10,000 or something, it will not cost you double. It will cost you just few hundreds, maybe up to 1,000, which in my opinion, it was very, very helpful. Now, during the practice test, um, when you start, before, like you start on practice test, the first question, go straight to the top right, click on the settings and tick the box of explanation of correct and incorrect answer. So what happens um, by default, I think it is ticked to only give you the explanation of the incorrect answer. But I highly recommend you to click on to go to settings and click on give me explanation about correct and incorrect answers. That's because sometimes you answer like you will answer a question, you're not sure about it, it turned to be true, and I will not give you explanation, but you were actually just lucky by choosing an option. So you will not see the explanation. But if you click that option, you will see the explanation and you will see why it was correct. Okay? Now, during the exam and the practice test, you have 15 minutes break. You can divide them into two sessions. I recommend you to take one, the first break halfway toward the end, not before halfway. Okay? So if it's 125 questions, I think, I really forgot. I done it 1 month ago and I forgot. But say it's 100 question, okay? Don't take it before the 50 question. Take it at the 60, 55, 60, and take like 8 to 10 minutes and leave 5 minutes just in case you need them at any other points. you have an emergency, you need to call someone, I don't know, okay? I don't know. You want to use the toilet, whatever reason. So take 8 to 10 minutes and come back, leave 5 minutes for your second break if you need it. In my case, I didn't need it. So I only took, I think, 8 minutes and I didn't need the second break and I finished it. Okay, that's the bad, uh, not the bad points. That's the tips that I want to give. Now there's more tips if you watch GCIH um, review. I I talked about a lot of tips for the GIAC for the SAN certification in general. They are exactly the same. I don't want to add them here as well. So if you go to GCIH, go to the tips section. Same as here, I divide them: good, bad, tips, index, stuff like that. Go to the tips section and see what I talked there. Now, let's talk about the indexes. I'll show you the indexes. First of all, they will give you already a Word document, I think, about for indexes, and they are like that. Let me move this, okay? They are like that. Um, I'm showing you this because this is already given by them. Now, what I did, I put here just pages, like this page has B, C, D, E, F, you can see them. So I can know, for example, access control, right? Start with A is the first page. If I want to go something with M, I switch to the M straight away. Mac, limiting, maintenance, man in the middle, okay? So they gave you this. This is pretty good and it's helpful. Sometimes it's helpful because if your indexes are not 100% good or mapped to all the, which is very hard to do because you have thousands of page, how you're going to put thousands of indexes, right? So in this case, this is helpful. Now, let me show you. Very similar to the GCIH. Okay, each book I put one color. Each book one color. And what I did is page by page, the ones at least that I felt, you know what, the opposite way. So I was going to say the pages that I felt they are important, I put index, but it's actually the opposite way. It's the ones that I felt they are not important, I didn't put indexes. And all of the rest, if they are a little bit or I'm sus about it, it might be important or for any other reason, I put an index. And that's why you saw a lot of indexes. I will give you two examples. This is something I didn't show in the GCIH. That's one of that's one of the books, okay? You might notice they are like that, okay? Like straight from the top to the bottom. Now there's another book where I didn't have a place anymore. Like what if you didn't have a place anymore to put your indexes? What do you do, right? Because if you put, like you can't put on top of it. So I will show you what I did. It was here in the third book, this one. Okay, so what I did, you might notice it from here, I went all the way down and then I started at the top. But what I did is I started again from a new fresh module. So I stopped here. If you notice here, I have some gaps and here at the top, right? Because I tried to make them, you know, the same length from each other. But anyway, same space, I mean. But when I started again here from the top, so this one is about LLM, okay, large language model and generative AI, this section. So I put couple of indexes here, but then I noticed when I did the first practical test, I know at the first practice test, I noticed that they were a bit confusing. You have a bit of indexes here about that section and then the rest of them at the top. So what I did, I removed them and I put everything at the top to keep just that module separate at the top. And then here you can see two separate ones. And whenever I got a question about generative AI, I knew straight away, oh, it's that section at the back, and I went straight away to the back. And that's my tips for the index. Uh, okay, so again, as I said, that's how I done them. It's very important, the indexes. Also, this one might save you, okay, in some questions. Um, the third and last point I want to talk about, it's a very long video, I know, but normally GIAC's certifications, I like to take my time because they are important and expensive. The last point I want to give about indexes, not about really indexes, but I would say it's indexes slash exam test, is to understand the question topic. I'll give you an example, don't worry. Understanding the question topic is more important than understanding the question, because that's how you're going to know which section you have to go and look in your indexes. I will give you an example. A question about application vulnerability is in the vulnerability management topic. Okay? A question about application vulnerability is in the vulnerability management topic. But a question about manage a vulnerability project is in the project management topic. See, both of them have vulnerability, but one of them is about vulnerability project, so it's in the project management topic, while the first one is about application vulnerability, it's in the vulnerability management topic. It's confusing, and there's many sections like that. That's not the only section. And that's why I'm saying you have to understand the question topic, not only the question, because most probably you're going to look in your indexes every time you have uh, a question, and to know which or where to look in which part, you will have to understand the topic, and this is one of the trickiest part of the exam. This point is very important. I'm sure it will help you. Okay, during your practice exam, notice it. You have to notice it before you jump on the exam. Um, Again, you will have to understand which topic they are talking about before understanding the question itself, which is very related. But you can understand the question and then think, oh, you know what? I think application vulnerability is in the, or I think the vulnerability project question is in the vulnerability management because it's vulnerability project. Well, no, it's a project. It is related to vulnerability, but it's a project, so it's in the project management, and that's what I noticed. Cool. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, who is this for? That's not for junior or mid-level or even senior. I don't think they promote it as senior. If you're in a senior position and you're not leading a team, you will not benefit from this. Okay? If you're thinking about jumping into a leadership um, position, then you will benefit a lot. But if you just jumped into the senior position and you think that you're going to be the leader and things like that, I think there is a lot more things important than the leadership to think about at that stage. I think you have to think about your a bit of technical skills, or I don't know, other things. Depends on which area. If you're in GRC, do another thing, do an ISO, do or something else. But this one is literally for senior leadership. Managers, CISOs, CIOs, CTOs. I don't think you will not benefit from it if you're a technical. If you're a technical leader, okay, if you're a technical manager, because I see it on LinkedIn, a lot of people, they are, for example, offensive technical manager. I don't think you will benefit from this, you know? Maybe you will benefit, but if you're technical manager, it means you're doing things heads on. Maybe you don't have a team, because something I noticed, for example, in some companies like Deloitte, PwC, and those companies, the big four, they call manager, but that manager doesn't manage anything. It's just because of their tenure. Like they've been say 4 or 5 years in a company, and they keep promoting them until now they are managers, but they don't have a team to manage, no one reporting to them. I don't think you will benefit from this. You're going to be a leader on what? On who? Who's leading? Are you leading? You know what I mean? This is leadership. So you're leading what exactly? I don't think you will benefit to the maximum from GSLC. GSLC is unbelievable certification for the leaders that they are managing people and managing projects and so on. They are decision makers in some things, and I highly recommend it. And as I said, man, I just jumped into a leadership position now, and I can tell you after this certification, I started to see with my eyes all the incorrect decisions that the senior leaders took. And now I started to see all of the mistakes and all the outcome that we're going through now because of those mistakes. So it's unbelievable certification. Big shout out to Sean. I don't know if he's going to, I don't think he will watch it, but anyway, I hope he watch it, and the bad things that I talked about, things going to change hopefully for the better. And that's my opinion about GSLC. Thank you for watching. I hope I was helpful, and I'm very happy for with the con. Let me show you. Oh, here we go. That's one side, and that's the second side. Good? Good. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.